This is Crew Talk, the podcast of Bombers CrossFit, where we build healthy humans. We're talking strength, discipline, mindset, community, real training, real nutrition, real results. If you're ready to level up inside and outside the gym, you're in the right place. Hey guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of Crew Talk, the official podcast for Bombers CrossFit, where we build healthy humans. This week we're talking about RX. What does it mean? What is the stimulus? And what if what you thought you knew about it is wrong? So heading into May, our coaching team of Cassie, Dylan, and Alissa are going to be doing something different. And they're calling it RX Month. And it's going to challenge how we approach every single workout. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for joining us for this episode of Crew Talk. So this week we're going to talk to Cassie's team. So Cassie, if you introduce everybody and give us kind of a breakdown of what this conversation is going to be about.
Sure. So we have Coach Dylan and Coach Alissa on our programming team for the month of May and June. And for the month of May, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. So instead of programming RX weights or heights or
gymnastics
movements, we are going to be giving a specific stimulus that we're looking for each athlete to meet. So that will look different from me to Alissa to Dylan every time we walk in the gym this month.
Okay, all right. So stimulus, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Can I take that one, Dylan?
So stimulus is kind of either the rep range or the time intent when we think of a WOD. So if we're looking at any kind of WOD, like hey, in the brief, like hey, this WOD should take us anywhere from 15 to 18 minutes. Okay, that means we want you to be finished within that 15 to 18 kind of time range, or even if they've given you a rep range or a weight. Okay, so.
This actually isn't any different than the way we normally run class. So if you are here for whiteboard briefs, which not everybody gets here for.
Whoa. I'm late.
We, as coaches, we try to give a stimulus each and every time you walk in the room, right?
Right.
So if, for example, you come in and say, hey, today's workout is Diane, 21-15-9, deadlifts at 225 for men, 155 pounds for women, and handstand push-ups. We're looking for Diane to be under 6 minutes today, right? Like you have heard all of your coaches say something like that when you come in to do a workout. So the difference is that this month we're going to force people into hitting the stimulus, and the reward is you get to hit your RX button.
Right. Okay, so 21-15-9 deadlifts at 225, 155 handstand push-ups. Okay, you say that I want you to finish that in 6 minutes, all right? So for someone who, if 225 is a heavy deadlift for them, okay, say, I'm going to struggle to get even 21. I couldn't do 21 unbroken. I'm going to have to do these in like sets of 3 or something like that, which means I'm not going to be able to finish that in 6 minutes, okay? So that's when we would normally scale, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right, so we would be encouraging people to drop the weight in order to be able to do a set of 7 of both your handstand push-up and your deadlift weight in the warm-up. Okay, so you should be able to do that set of 21 in no more than 3 sets, but definitely probably more than that 2 set. That set of 15, no more than 2 sets, and that set of 9 should be unbroken. So we want to choose a weight that we are moving pretty smoothly. In Diane, a lot of us get real caught up in those handstand push-ups, right? Especially at the end, those handstand push-ups have a tendency to become singles or doubles.
Right.
We'd be looking to choose a modification of our handstand push-up that is also keeping us moving in those sets of 5 to 7 reps at a time. So if you walk into RX month and you saw Diane, we wouldn't call it Diane, right? Because we're not prescribing a weight. It would look like this: 21-15-9 deadlifts, and then we'd have 3 movements for our handstand push-ups. We've got pike handstand push-ups, and deficit handstand push-ups, because we also have a subset of our population who can rep out 21 handstand push-ups, and maybe they need to be challenged a little bit to do something that's a little bit more intense than what the prescribed would have been.
So what you're trying to do is you're trying to fine tune the workout, which is typically what we're always trying to
Absolutely.
do. Okay, but specifically, you're trying to fine tune the workout so that everybody is going to finish about the same amount of time, okay, and working at the same level of effort, okay. For instance, okay, I say I can't do 225 for my deadlifts, okay, but if I put 75 pounds on my deadlifts and I did them in 30 seconds, well, then that's not the intent either.
Correct. Alissa, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So likewise, we have some patients or some members that we need to scale up. Sometimes we have some that, well, it's still scaling up, but we have some that tend to go too easy, maybe at sometimes. So when we have something like a stimulus that tells us sets of 7, if you can do a set of 21, then we also know that that's way too late. So it's going to be pushing some people to maybe put more weight on their bar, or some people maybe put less weight on their bar. Again, just to get that stimulus feel that we're asking them for.
And so the whole idea, again, is that everybody's working hard, right?
Right. So, like part of this is leaving the open this year. I had so many athletes come up to me and say, wow, I don't usually feel like that I pushed myself really hard to the point that I'm, my CNS
On the floor.
is shot and I probably can't work out tomorrow. Like we have a tendency to not push ourselves like that on a daily basis. And that's okay, right? That doesn't need to happen every day that we push ourselves to that, breaking point. But we should be feeling that once or twice a week. And so how can we teach our athletes how to find that spot for them, how to increase that intensity, whether that's pushing the weight or pushing their speed in order to meet that type of movement in an everyday class?
Yeah. So, so I'm coming into the class and I say, I've done CrossFit for 2 months. I've done deadlift a couple of times. All right. I have no idea how heavy I can go. I mean, how are we gonna help people get to that point?
So we might build that into part of our specific warm up, a few sets of 7, and kind of be like, yep, this is something that's not a max set of 7. I think I could do it 3 times, and it can take a long time to kind of judge that. If you are brand new to CrossFit, that's where this is also a challenge for us as coaches, and not just trying to get athletes to do what we tell them to do. It also is on us to recognize where our athletes are and give them the appropriate scale, or help them choose how to hit that day. So we're not just totally turning you loose to figure it out. But I'd say really building it to a general and specific warm-up is going to help us with hitting certain points of our stimulus this month.
Mm-hmm. And so, what kind of tools do you see to use to help people find those things?
Well, I think one of the tools that we'll use is like tester rounds. Everybody's favorite.
Boo.
I know.
It's worse.
But they really do give a snapshot into what that workout's going to feel like. And, I think about yesterday, Coach Trent used a 30-second double under tester. It was however many double unders you can do in 30 seconds, you can double it for the watt today. Something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something along those lines, right? Like finding what your capacity is in that short period of time and then making sure that we can hit that multiple times in a row. So it might be a tester that involves multiple rounds. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, schedule my vacation real quick.
You're not wasting good reps, I promise. They're all practice.
So we've talked about kind of like primarily on lifting. What are other things that, like gymnastics and stuff like that? Walk us through that. You've got a breakdown of kind of like some of the handstand, because there's some gymnastics movements that people can't do.
Sure. So if we have a workout that might have bar muscle ups as the gymnastics not prescribed, we're not using that word. If we have bar muscle ups in a workout, we might allow pull-ups or chest to bars to count as that RX as well. Because again, it's hitting the stimulus. This is something you should be able to do 3 of in a row each round, potentially. So we might have some people that can squeak out 1 bar muscle up and they want to do it, but doing 3 strung together chest to bars might be hitting the stimulus better, depending on the rest of the workout. So finding just where each person is at their level of that gymnastics workout, of a pulling gymnastics movement.
Right. It might say something more like a gymnastics pull instead of saying pull up or muscle up.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think the nature of our sport is very unique because everybody wants to get better. And how do we show we want to get better? We want to put more weights on the bar. We want to do that better skill. We all want to go outside and go faster. But I think this month in particular is going to expose a lot of athletes and show all of us that, like, hey, just because we have that brand new skill that we all want to show off, we all want to do a bar muscle up. We all want to give that brand new skill or that ring muscle up. But for particular WODs, the intent of that is to do this.
Yeah.
And that doing that fancy skill or that bigger weight may not meet us that intent. That doesn't mean that you're less of an athlete or you're not as fit because you can't show us that. But we want this today. And there's gonna be plenty of time down the road that we're like, hey, do that ring muscle up, do that bar muscle up. Now is a good time for it. They're just not every WOD is show me your bigger weight or show me your new scale. Sometimes it's going to be that scale down of like, hey, you have way more chest to bar than you have bar muscle ups. Show me more chest to bar. That may be a better fit of today's WOD. So,
Yeah.
Even things like running, we have people that always scale back running and the distance and things. Maybe the RX is I'm running the entire time for a certain period of time. And that would also push some of our faster athletes to run a little bit farther than we normally would prescribe. So it kind of gives that scale up and scale down for that run.
So it sounds like athletes, you're going to have a responsibility to really tailor the movement up and down to try and find the right fit each time. How are we going to come up with those?
Sure. A lot of it is going to be pre-written out for our coaches. So that's accountability really to your coaches first, right? So it's the coach's responsibility to make sure each athlete has the appropriate stimulus for the day. So as a team, we are writing out specifics for our coaching team so that they can walk in and say, okay, we've got 3 options for a pulling movement today. We've got 3 options for our running movement today, or whatever it is, to make it really simple, right? So kind of like how if you walk in, sometimes we're like, here's the RX, here's an A scale, here's a B scale.
Right.
Very similar to that. Okay, so you walk in and you say, hey, that one looks like it would be a good fit for me, and we might have to tweak it. And obviously there are outliers when it comes to injuries or things that, I'm not going to ask Daryl to go overhead
Right.
with your one arm. So, obviously we have modifications that will need to be made individually. But as a whole, if we have 75% of our members in each class hitting our stimulus, I think we will have hit the nail on the head.
yeah, I think that it's important to know, like, it's okay to fail in this case, like, especially for coaches. Like, this is how we learn. Like doing this for the first time, we're not going to get it right every single time. For our coaches and our athletes, like, you may think in the middle of the WOD, like, I overshot it. Like, I overshot the intent, and now I scaled it, or I finished it way under. Like, shoot, I scaled it again. I did all that hard work, and I didn't get to hit the magic RX button. But that's okay. That's part of this. Is that we're trying to make athletes and coaches critical think, like, kind of on the fly, and maybe in the middle of a WOD of that like, catch of like, hey, like, I'm going too far, or I'm going too much, or maybe I'm not going hard enough. Like, and we're thinking that critical thinking of both our coaches and athletes.
So let's talk a little bit about why. Why are we doing this? Why don't we just normally do like the RX like we always do?
Kind of like Cassie said earlier, we do something like the open and people are like, oh, my body's never felt that before. Or we have people that maybe always think heavier is better. And in a sense, almost scaling too hard can almost make things easy, and you're doing a single heavy rep and you're dropping the barbell and you're taking a drink of water, and that's not necessarily what's going to make you fitter in the end. It's kind of, we might ask you to do something unbroken and you lift something heavier 10 times in a row unbroken than what you thought that you could. Maybe that makes you go faster and you still don't get a hit RX that day, but we're going to learn a lot from trying these things out a little differently.
So you mean doing the workout RX doesn't always mean you're doing it at the highest level of intensity?
Correct. I mean,
Not at all.
I think we could take yesterday's WOD, which was the double unders and the double dumbbell deadlifts, hang cleans, and push jerks. And, according to CrossFit affiliate programming, no one who RX'd it yesterday hit the stimulus.
Right.
Right? And so I looked at that and said, hey, that's a prime example of, man, we missed the mark as coaches, helping to steer some of our athletes in the right direction. But also, maybe taking a WOD like that and saying, hey, today's supposed to be a heavy day. I want you to grab a dumbbell that is 1 to 2 pounds heavy, 2 jumps heavier than the dumbbell you always grab. So, if you're Alissa and you always grab a 20-pound dumbbell, maybe we're going to push ourselves to grab that 35-pound and push that weight part of the intensity in yesterday's workout, because that was supposed to be heavy, right? Like CrossFit didn't program 2 70-pound dumbbells and think that's going to be a really lightweight.
Exactly.
Thing.
So a day like yesterday, you have to hit this heavy dumbbell stimulus, but maybe cut back on the double unders or even cut back on the reps of one of the dumbbell movements or something like that to hit the heavy stimulus within the time frame.
Right.
So we can get creative with it a little bit.
Yeah, so when we talk about power, okay, and so intensity is equal to power, right? Okay, the power comes from the weight times the distance over the time.
Right.
All right, so moving a heavy weight slowly doesn't generate more power than moving a lighter weight faster. Is
right.
that okay? So yesterday's example, you could raise the intensity if you did a little bit less weight, but you moved faster, more consistently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's kind of what we're trying to get with this, right? To dial that in. Now, what about conversely the other side? Okay, so you can say, okay, well, hey, you want me to finish this in 6 minutes? I can finish this in 6 minutes. I'm going to put 75 pounds on my deadlift, okay, and I'm going to do pike handstand push-ups. And I'm going to go unbroken all the way through.
Yeah, I think part of that is definitely that coach check-in, right? I'm looking at you, Ryan, right? Because he's already told me he wants to game this, right? So
he's not about day one.
Day one. So part of that is us as coaches holding our athletes accountable, right? It's one thing to come up and say, hey, my body's really broken today. I need to pull back. But if it's hey, I just want to, I'm going to do this just because I can move a 55-pound deadlift 21 times, and you're missing the mark there too. And that's on the coach, checking in, being hey, Alissa, I know you can do 155 pounds today, and you can do them in sets of 7, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right?
I think doing if you can go back to our 2159 over here, most of our athletes, we could put a 45-pound bar, we could do pike hands and push-ups and be done under 3 minutes. Even on the opposite side, we could load up 400 pounds and do strict handstand push-ups, and we'll be done in an hour.
Yeah.
But the question is, did you get anything out of that? Yeah, we could game it. We could do all the reps and stare at the clock for 2 minutes and be all right, hang on, let me just do my last rep. Oh, I did RX, sweet. But did you get anything out of that? In that kind of accountability of hey, yes, you did it. Good job. You RX'd it. You gamed it. Good job, Coach Ryan. But at the end of the day, we're trying to move the needle a little bit, and we're trying to get fitter, and we're trying to improve that internal dialogue of yes, I can, or no, I can't, and that kind of talk of yes, I can't hit this mark.
Yep.
And for our stimulus, we were talking about sub 6 minutes. We're going to give you a little bit more of a range of time, or a range of 3 to 5 rounds or something like that. That way, if you do 10 rounds, you way overshot it. If you barely squeaked out 2 rounds, you way undershot it. So rather than just sub 6 minutes, it might be a 4 to 6 or something like that. Give us a little bit more of a range of our rounds and our.
And
times.
not to peel back the curtain too far, but like it might be something like, oh, we're going to do it once really light and go really fast, and then we're going to rest and do it again a little bit heavier and choose something that's a little bit harder of a scale, and then you can
see how it
feel
feels
different stimulus in the same day.
Yeah, because like for instance, Fran. Okay, so Fran, the thrusters on that should be unbroken. Okay, so like we're talking about the deadlifts here, and you said initially, like doing 3 sets of 7. Okay, so you're not expecting someone to do 21 unbroken deadlifts. If they do, that's probably too light. Where Fran, you are expecting them to do 21 unbroken thrusters, okay? And if they can't do that, then it's probably too heavy.
Sure, and it might just depend on the day, right? Like, and there's definitely days that you want to do Diane unbroken, right? So, and that might be a program-specific day. Hey, I want to do Diane, and I want to do Diane unbroken today. Or some days I walk in here and I go, I want to hit that heavier weight Diane, and it's going to take me a little bit longer. And that is totally in the back end of the programming and what we're telling you as an athlete we want you to hit for today. So, because it might be a strength day, a sneaky strength day, right?
Yeah.
You never know. We'll have to see.
And at the end of the day, this is all about finding the intensity, right? Because the intensity is what delivers the results. And so finding that kind of sweet spot where you're getting the highest power output is going to help you get the best results for your workout.
Yeah, I think the really good thing I'm telling athletes so far is like, this is a training tool more than anything. Like, this is something that we use to train and to train your brain to thinking like, hey, I can hit this stimulus, or hey, I can do more weight than I thought I could, or hey, maybe I should back it off a little bit more than I should. Like, we're using it, like, this is not like, this is the programming the rest of the year. Sorry, we're doing this from now on. If you don't like it, too bad. No, this is a training tool we're using for a month for both our coaches and our athletes, and we're going to see if it works.
Yeah. Because ultimately, this is kind of the way WODs always should be.
Absolutely.
Right? But over time, the RX button came along, to kind of give people a standardization. But that thing's a little bit of a curse, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just so enticing some days. And some people never get to hit it. So that'll be part of the fun of this month, is someone who's never on top of the leaderboard is going to be on top of the leaderboard, which is also fun. But it's also taking away some of the allure of the RX button that we have other months.
yeah, because sometimes the RX button encourages you to do something that you really shouldn't do.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we have WODs programmed that don't necessarily push that top 1% enough.
Yeah, that's a great
right?
point.
On
yeah.
the other side of the spectrum. And so this is an opportunity for them to maybe go a little bit heavier or do a little bit harder skill and choose something that's appropriate there as well.
So Ryan would do his at 315 as opposed to 225,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Why not?
Naturally, why not?
Why not?
And wall-facing
Unbroken.
handstand push-ups.
Yes.
Wall facing, strict.
Deficit.
Deficit strict answer for all.
Wall
Jesus.
facing.
Sub 6 minutes.
When he sees this, well, he's going to hate this one. He sees
He's
this
going to
one.
be so mad at us.
So let's give a couple of more examples for people that are just kind of getting a feel. And I know you may not necessarily want to divulge some of the
Sure.
secrets that you've got planned for us.
Some of them are not going to look different than things we do already, right? So maybe we have a heavy day programmed and it's 5 sets of 3 front squats. And then there's a Metcon afterwards, and your weight for the Metcon is 75% of what you hit for a triple. Okay? That's something that you were familiar with, right? We have done things like that in the past, and that's RX, hitting that 75%. So some days won't feel super different than what you normally see. Some days it's just coming in and seeing a variety of options for a gymnastics movement in an EMOM. And as long as you're choosing one of those options and you're moving through the EMOM at an appropriate pace, you hit the RX button.
Yeah, I think for most of it, like most athletes, like they won't even notice the difference. Like we still have our progressions we'll go through. We'll still have bus stop progressions. We're like, oh, like this is the stop you're at. Great, let's do that for the WOD. We found the perfect scale for you. Okay, and you're gonna hit the time intent. You're gonna be like, that was awesome. What did I get? You got RX. Wow. So it's kind of like for something it's not gonna change for athletes. You're still gonna come in and have a good time. and you get a little fitter in the process.
I think we have a couple days where we're requiring certain things to be unbroken or saying this should not be unbroken, which is maybe a little, every now and then we throw in an unbroken thing.
Like
in the past,
RX
but
is cycling the barbell, right? Like, no, you cannot do quick singles today,
yeah.
Right.
not RX.
Yeah.
If you do singles of anything, you're like, that's scaled. Sorry. Too bad. Start over. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that would be really
Ooh, I
nice.
started over
Sorry.
today?
Sorry.
If you had to start over.
No.
What was it? There was one with double unders like that, right? Where you had to do unbroken
Ooh, yeah,
unbroken sets
our
of double
flight
unders, and if you
simulator.
broke, then you had
Simulator.
to-
Flight simulator.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
fun one. I don't know. The month isn't set in stone yet. We
It's
can
not.
still-
We might be able to
I think that's
squeak
good
something
ideas.
like that in. Don't give us ideas.
So, is there any other sort of focus, or you're not like looking specifically towards more running or more gymnastics? It's still going to be the broad.
It'll be broad spectrum, but also throughout the months of May and June, we also have a back squat cycle
Okay. All right.
sprinkled in. So some days might look like a heavy day, and some days it might look like it's part of your normal Metcon. So it'll just kind of depend on the day, but we are doing some purposeful loading of the barbell for back squats.
And I think the only day that does not fall in our RX month kind of our persona is going to be Murph.
Murph. Okay.
Murph.
Yeah, if you can't RX Murph if you just do like 5 pull-ups and just like dude, no, got this in.
Man, that's how I was going to RX
Yeah,
now.
sorry,
The
burst
only
all your
time.
bubbles. RX Murph is the only exception of this month. Is that hey, we still want like RX will be that high standard.
Also, in the midst of this month, we have Bring a Friend Week, and I actually think this is perfect for Bring a Friend Week because sometimes we bring our friends in and they see that that 225 barbell and are like, oh, CrossFit is not for me,
Yep.
right? And so we're going to remove that barrier for our Bring a Friend Week, which I think will be really beneficial.
Okay. Are you guys going to do the traditional Bring a Friend Week, or you're going to do new
We
Bring
are
a Friend
doing
Week?
new
All
Bring
new.
a Friend Week,
New stuff.
all new.
Okay.
All new.
All right. That's cool. But there'll still be kind of partner versions, or
There will be a partner variety or some sort of open
you go, I
style
go, yeah.
2 heats, depending on the day.
okay.
So.
Let me judge. Let me have a judge.
I
That's
know.
all.
We
I
just want somebody to
count
count your
my
reps. I know,
right.
Daryl. It's your dream.
So, all right. Have we covered everything? Let's do this. Think of another example. Come up with another workout. Let's walk through, and maybe I'll give you one. Let's see. Let's go 3
Tess, let's
rounds
go.
for time. Okay, of a 400-meter run.
I'm gonna have to write this down.
20 burpees, okay, and a 75-pound power snatch, hang power snatch, okay. So you're going to do 3 rounds for time, 400 meters, 20 burpees, 10 hang power snatches at 75 or
Thank you. Write this
55
down.
pounds.
I'm gonna have to write
Okay.
this down, Daryl.
Yeah, write that down.
I'm gonna forget what the heck you just said.
already forgot.
I already forgotten.
So let's do 400-meter run.
So 400-minute run.
He does write his numbers backwards.
Yes,
I
I do.
told you.
400 run. Go for it.
20 burpees.
Everyone's gonna be watching for this now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
And 10
He needed some OT,
hang power
Alissa.
snatches.
Yeah, I'm looking at his face going on over here.
I'm not getting
power
nervous, guys.
It's 75 and 55.
How many rounds?
3 rounds.
3 rounds.
Okay. So how would you break that down? Okay. So let's say, let's keep using Ryan. Okay.
Why not?
Because we love Coach Ryan. So how would you break that down for Coach Ryan? Or first off, what time domain would you be looking for that?
I almost would say like a 4 minutes.
4 times 3. 4 minutes round.
4 minutes around.
Yeah. 4 minutes
So
around. So
10
by 3, so about 10,
Yeah,
12
10
minutes.
to 12 minutes.
Yep. Okay. All right. So now, if you say 10 to 12 minutes, if Ryan was doing this, okay, I think he'd probably pretty easily get that done in 10 minutes, right?
I would say so. I
would
would
think
say,
so.
yeah, his run, burpees, and that's a light enough power snatch for most
Right,
of us.
That's
that
a
he can-
light enough power snatch. That's probably too light.
That's
for
a
power
hang.
snatch
That's a
for
hang
him.
power snatch.
A hang power
So you're
snatch.
doing 10 unbroken,
10 unbroken.
right?
Yes.
So,
So probably the run sub 2, burpees in 1.
so if I was looking at that, then I would say, all right, Ryan, could you give me 3 sets of 10 unbroken at, maybe that's 95 pounds for him and
Maybe.
not 75 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
That run, we want that to be under 2 minutes. So for some of our
People are doing
athletes,
a 300-meter run.
might be a 300-meter run. We might have.
Yep. So maybe you do 300 meters for some people, but maybe some people,
I think about Chad. Maybe that's a 600-meter run for Chad.
because some people consistently could do 130 on those 400 meters.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe that
360
person
run.
would do a 500-meter run,
Yeah.
or even maybe a 600-meter run.
So
or
we
something like
would most likely give a range for the run, be like, hey, we want this from anywhere from a 200-meter run to a 500-meter run, and we want it done in this time frame. For the 20 burpees, like reducing that number down or increasing that number would do as well.
Right.
And
How
for
many
power
burpees can you
snatches-
do in 1 minute?
In 1 minute. That's what we're doing. And for power snatches, we'd honestly, we're not going to give you a weight. We're just going to tell you, hey, we want it a 10 unbroken, and we want it a light to medium weight. And we're going to use tester rounds to kind of figure out what's appropriate. We could have some athletes just do a barbell, but again, are you getting anything out of that if we just cycle barbells? And that may be too light for athletes. And for some athletes, hey, we may tell you, hey, let's drop that down a little bit and let's make this a consistent 10 every single time.
So, so let's talk. So if you do 10, if you find the right weight, anybody can do 10
Sure.
unbroken, okay?
You don't want
You
to.
do 10 with PVC. But now you want it to have a feel. So you said light to medium, okay? So what do you want me to feel about that? Is it like I should be able to do 7 and then have to fight to get 8, 9, and 10? Okay, is that the level of effort that you're looking? You know what I'm saying? And that's what we got to kind of do.
Right, and I would say that medium heavy, right? So for me, 55 pounds, if we're doing a hang power snatch, I'm going to cycle 55 pounds, 10 quickly with no pause, really, right?
Yes.
Just a quick reset
Right.
from the top. If you put 75 pounds on my bar, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to probably do 5 or 6, and then there'll be kind of a single from the top, right? And so that would definitely be something that would be written on the back end, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I want these to be quick, unbroken set today. No, these should all be.
Yeah, so the snatches, so a lot of times you'll see people when they're quickly snatching it comes back, it just barely hits your hips and it's right back up again, okay? That would be kind of a light or medium sort of
Right.
weight, okay? But if I'm going a little bit heavier, maybe I have to bring it back down and take a breath and then jump and get another one and then come back down, take a breath. So I'm doing a little bit slower cadence.
Right, so that would be and I would say, hey, for 10 to 12 minutes of 3 rounds to this, you can't be taking a break at your hip here, right? These have to be 10.
Touch and go.
Yeah.
Reps.
Yeah.
Fast
So,
reps.
and you would set the weight to something that person can
Right.
do in that way, okay?
Yep.
Either lighter or even heavier, because, how heavy can you get and still keep it at
Yeah.
that standard?
Yeah, and maybe for that day you do, 5 sets of 10 unbroken, building weight to see where that is. And maybe you're going to build in the warm up beyond it and go, oh, hey, I hit a weight that I can't just do 10. Okay, now I'm going to back off a little, and that's my weight for the WOD today.
Yeah, and we do that a lot of times when we're loading in phases where we want to load up to something that's heavier than what you're going to do the workout in, and get a little bit of that feel. So it's really good. There's a big burden on the coaches to try and come up with describing for the athletes how this is intended to be, so that they really understand and pick and choose wisely.
And to our coaches that are listening, we're hoping the burden is on us, right? We want to be able to provide you with a very detailed plan walking into each day so that you're not having to come up with these things on the fly. So.
Okay.
So first burden was at us, and then second to the coaches, and then third is to the athlete, to make sure that you are engaging with the whiteboard brief, engaging with the warm-up, and critically thinking to make sure that you're going to hit the stimulus, and communicating with your coach, right? Don't go hide in the corner, and avoid them when they come and ask you what your plan is for the day, right? Like,
We'll try to be more
genuinely do want to
intentional
know.
of talking to each athlete about their plan versus sometimes it's like, well, we know Ryan's going to do RX, like he's good. Don't need to talk to him about his plan or whatever. And us really honing in on that stimulus too will give us those extra 2-3 minutes where we need to talk to everybody versus like, well, morning classes are going 10 minutes over our stimulus today. Like we don't have time. Let's get rolling. So we should be able to kind of fit in an extra 2 minutes to go around to each athlete and make sure we have a plan.
And if you miss the intent, if you miss the intent, it's okay in a brief. Like we know 6 a.m. don't pay attention to a brief. You might as well not even have it. Like ask your coach. If you're in the middle, if you're trying to warm up, you're like, Coach, what's the intent again? Like what am I trying to hit again? We'll tell you. There's no secrets.
Yeah. And some people are a little uncomfortable kind of talking and engaging like that with coach. So I think it's important to understand that the coach is not trying to put you on the spot.
No, for sure, right? We're just trying to help you, have a good workout. We want this to be the best hour of your day. And so we want you to leave feeling good and feeling like you worked hard and that you didn't waste your time.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the whole idea of coming to Bombers is that you're going to get results, okay? And the best way to get results is to match the highest intensity. And that's what this is all designed to kind of produce for each individual.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun challenge. Those members who have been here for years can think a little bit more critically and kind of have an idea. They might know where they would fit when they pick different skills. And for those that don't know, rely on your coaches to kind of maybe just tell you what to do and you're going to do it, and it's going to work.
So definitely ask a lot of questions. Don't game the tester rounds.
Don't game the tester rounds. Know that the WOD's going to feel worse than the tester round.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be hard, right?
It's supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
Right? And if you miss it,
It's okay. That's part of it. We want 70% of the time for you to get it, which means 30% of the time you're failing. And that's okay. And that's, for some of us, that's like unacceptable. You mean 30% of the time I'm failing? But that's okay.
Maybe you tried a heavier weight than you've ever done for such and such, or you went unbroken on a bunch of wall balls for the first time, so you went faster than you thought you could on wall balls. So we're still learning either way. There's no expectation of everyone hitting the blue button every day.
Yeah. And so as long as you meet the coach's intent, whatever the coach kind of outlines for you and says this is, then you're able to click the RX button.
100%.
So this is your moment to be at the top of the leaderboard.
It is.
Be up there on the big screen right in the middle.
Anybody,
Donna, we're looking at you. We know it's your goal every day.
It's maybe the only time I beat Greg in anything. Okay, I'll try.
That's it. That's right. Because if Annie comes along, it's GHDs and triple unders for Greg, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Scale appropriately.
Yeah, scale appropriately. Yeah. So, and Ryan could do that.
Ryan could probably. Yeah.
All right, guys. Is there anything? I think we've covered everything. But is there anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. We'll keep talking about this as we go to athletes, and if they have questions, come to your coaches. We love talking about this kind of stuff, and we'll explain it as best we can. If you don't get it, we'll explain it again. Okay. And if you don't like it, take a month-long vacation.
Most importantly,
email me about it.
When does this start?
The week
May
after
4th.
next.
May 4th. Yeah, I was like, what's that date? What day's
May
the first?
4th.
May 4th. Monday, May 4th will be our first day.
So it's not this. Yeah,
No,
as
we
we said
will-
today, it's not this week. It's May 4th. Okay.
Yep. So we will still be cap through the end of next week.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, hey, thanks for sitting down and drawing this all out, and thanks again for coming up with all this programming for the next 3 months.
Woohoo!
That's it for this episode of Crew Talk. If you got value, share it with your crew. Want to train with us? Head over to bomberscrossfit.com and come see what we're building. Stronger every day, better every rep. We'll see you in the gym.